hearing this news of that alleged kickback scheme?
Yeah, well, ultimately, I'm glad that there's been consequences. It's a pretty serious thing to do, and for the most vulnerable people. So it's been a really big disappointment to see that this happen. But I also think, having worked with numbers of agencies in the city, it's a bad apple situation. This is not common, and I think it's really good that there's accountability for it.
Now, obviously, your organization, with the goal of ending homelessness in Ottawa and really everywhere, what can you tell us about the challenges and what needs to be done to address that growing need here in the city?
Housing. It sounds so simple, but at the end of the day, we know that providing affordable housing is the way that we end homelessness. Sometimes housing looks like, needing more supports, but most of the time people need affordable spots to live, and we just have less and less of that.
And expensive where housing is built.
Yeah, exactly. The rent is too high. The rent is $2,000 for a one-bedroom in this city. Not many people can afford that, especially if you're on one income.
Now, I did want to talk about Bill 6 because your organization also wrote a letter to the Premier asking to pull away from that bill. Can you explain to us what Bill 6 entails and why you see it as problematic?
Unfortunately, the provincial government has decided to move forward in jailing people who are homeless instead of actually providing housing. And so Bill 6 is basically, if you are suspected of substance use, if you're outside in an encampment, you can be arrested or you can be fined for $10,000. It's absurd. Jails are already full. We have no judges to help people get processed anyways. And instead of providing housing, we're literally criminalizing someone who's homeless.
And so you've written a letter. Have you heard anything back?
Not yet. We wrote it with the Ontario Alliance and a number of other agencies, but we're hoping to engage the provincial government, especially on solutions. I mean, housing is the answer, we know that, and if we provide housing, it's cheaper, it's faster, and it actually helps people.
Now, when addressing this issue, I feel walking around in the Byward Market, you see it. A lot of people have some misconceptions about what needs to go in to address the underlying issue or to tackle homelessness here in Ottawa and across the province. What are some of the main misconceptions that stand out to you?
I think ultimately that if you are homeless, it's absolutely because you have a substance use challenge or a mental health issue. And that's actually not true. It's about 15 to 20%. And the rest, it's really an affordability issue. Maybe it's a one-time thing like losing a job. There could be other kinds of trauma issues in your life. But ultimately, the people who do need that support, they absolutely need proper housing with the kind of supports that would help them. And then for many people, it's rent. Like, it's actually being able to afford a unit, which is something a lot of people can relate to, and more people with the cost of living are on the cusp of either rent or groceries, and so I think we're going to see that number potentially get bigger. But for people to understand, it's not always mental health and substance use. It really does have a variety of causes, but at the end of the day, it's not affordable housing.
An important conversation and a timely one at that. Katie, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.